I think we got sound coming into the stream. All right, so what we're doing today is like the first episode of the podcast that I had in mind. This is Echoes of Evenor, episode 1. And in this episode, we're going to look at the AMA that they had in December around the time of the Game Awards. It's a pretty big one, and so I was kind of juggling whether I wanted or not to separate this into a lot of videos or make one long video. And I thought this might be the best way to do it, is just to start off this way, because I was trying to figure out like what do I want to do as the first podcast, but this is going to be what we're doing right here. So with that said, I guess let's go ahead and jump into this little makeshift intro I made. So let's go ahead. I know it's just a trailer for the game. Eventually, we're going to put in something that is a little more customized, I guess. But we'll have to wait till we get some actual gameplay that we can share and things of that nature. So what we're doing right now is, like I said, going over this Reddit AMA. It takes from December of last year. So I have it up here. I got the big words so everybody can see what it is. Got it zoomed in. Let's go ahead and jump into this. The first question is, will there be player trading, and can you trade basic resources? So there is currently no player trading. You will, however, be able to offer up imbuements and such to launch expeditions for your group, or use imbuements to augment events for the benefits of friends. When neighborhoods come online, it's also planned that you will have a slot dedicated specifically to friends, placing artifacts and shared benefits from neighborhoods and guild housing. So that's pretty cool that there is going to be some kind of interesting slots that you can kind of sort of trade. It's not like exact trading, but if you have like a guild or neighborhoods, that's pretty cool. So how many people will be able to play together in in-game content? We know the standard party limit is 3. Will raids in-game have more players in one group? And so there will definitely be raids with larger group sizes, but this is something we are wanting to drop more details on in the future. Keep an eye out. And I think we've heard raid parties are going to be like, right now it's 3 players. Raid parties might be like 9. It's really uncertain because they haven't put it in the game. We haven't seen any of it in any type of video form or anything like that. But I hope when they do like updates for the game that if you guys ever played WildStar and remember how like Stephen Frost did those crazy fun voiceovers with the fun animated style of videos made for the trailers and stuff for what's coming up in the upcoming patches. I hope they do something like that because that was really fun actually and engaging. So I kind of enjoyed those, and it's one of the things I miss about WildStar. Will weapons be rarity based or locked behind some other system like Mastery Rank in Warframe? Crafting a weapon will be gated by whatever content drops the necessary parts to craft it. Some will definitely be able to be crafted sooner than others, but there is no other gate on getting the drops other than finding the resources necessary. And what's cool about this now is we have this context in, is that now they have the little updated codex so we can see where where these items drop at, so we can just go to that item. So it's even less gated now because we'll at least be able to know where to find the items at once we find them the first time. This one says, hi, I discovered the game during TennoCon and finally saw the trailer for it at Game Awards. Really excited to play a new MMO, and seeing the gameplay got me hyped up. On to the question. Have you guys thought of a potential Wayfinder that has abilities regarding summons or pet management? Something akin to a necromancer who summons ghouls or a hunter ranger that has pets. Personally, I would love to see a character that plays like an Unholy Death Knight from WoW or Necros from Warframe. And this is also kind of interesting before I get into the answer is somebody had pets as a question in the Twitter AMA that they had, and they said that you will have some people running around, some pets running around with you. So will those pets eventually be able to fight with you if you have the class, or is this something a totally different system going on where they have this separate summoner slash ranger type class? Because it says yes for sure. We couldn't do one early on as we were still working on things like creature AI and pathfinding, but you can definitely expect a pet class Wayfinder in the future. So that's pretty big news. And we could probably try to look in some old character art or something and try to see if we can find that character class that's supposed to be like a summoner or pet class. So I wonder if they've kind of given us some kind of concept art on that or not, or if they've been really careful in getting all of that stuff taken care of and peeped out. What's going on, Snarf? How you doing? We're going over the the AMA that was in December. You should know a lot of these answers. So about healers, since you don't want to enforce a rigid holy trinity, us healing addicts can still expect to get more support as focused on healing as Wingrave, and will they still be relevant and helpful at all levels of play? So it says we actually have another healer coming very soon, with a third already slated further out. We are trying our best to make sure each character has a place they shine and a place where teammates can help fill in the gaps. You can expect the next healer to feel different than Wingrave to give the healing addict some different styles to play with. Of course, I'm reading this before uh, before the beta drops, so I don't know if Venomous is going to be the healer or not because it says very soon. But it would be pretty interesting if she was. If you want any live questions answered, I'll have to. I had. Well, I don't know if you'd be able to answer them or not. It was more like design questions, I think. Because one question was that somebody had around PAX East was how far out are characters planned, and another question is how is the game based around solo players? Like, how solo friendly is the game to be? So, but this last question is though the healers, people that enjoy healing, the support class fiends that just want to sit back and support everybody. Those looks like they will have a lot more healers coming in. Hopefully, more dedicated healers. I know Wingrave is kind of like a combo healer, so we'll have to see if it's going to be more combo or hybrid, or if it will be more dedicated and healing in that way. This one is like, I saw a clip on your Twitter where the player was able to jump over a gap in the floor. Are there any jumping puzzles? So as players explore the world overworld as well as the lost zones, they should be prepared to overcome physical obstacles such as platforming and loot rewarding puzzles. So there is platforming and loot rewarding puzzles, which means there are jump puzzles. I wonder if the double dash is going to change that anywhere out. But the double jumping, the air dash. I keep saying double jumping, but the game already has that. The air dash will change any of that. It says, I think the team has a 5-year plan mapped out so far, but it will ever be growing. That would be a great question for when I get the design team on a dev stream. Hey, when are you guys setting those up? Are you going to do like monthly, here's a question. Are you going to do like monthly community streams? Or is it going to be like every once in a while? Or do you think that'll happen once the game comes into early access when you start setting up? Because I don't know if you were here when I was talking about how Stephen Frost did the WildStar videos when there were updates and how much I kind of enjoyed those. So I was kind of wondering if there would be like the same kind of updates going on with Wayfinder or not. So this next question is, are there going to be mounts? If yes, can we see some anytime soon? As we know from the information we have upon the battle pass, there are going to be mounts, but we haven't really seen them in action. Seeing how the world is, the air dash and double air dash certainly makes a lot of platforming puzzles much easier. And yes to the question about, I'm guessing there's a question about community updates monthly once early access drops. So we can look forward to seeing those happen. Since mounts are something we are really excited about and are already building out the content for, we are still figuring out some technical details about shared spaces and world size, but they are not far off and looking awesome. Stay tuned. And that's one of the things that's kind of looking at. Well, we're looking at the size of the world in videos. It's kind of hard to picture running around with mounts because a lot of times mounts are a lot bigger. There's a whole bunch of different sizes of them. So your character size versus the world size, seeing how they fit inside the world is like, is there really room for mounts? Snarf says, I've actually been spending the last couple of months planning and building out the brand new stream studio for the new office. We will be doing weekly broadcasts and events within the community. Weekly broadcasts. Oh, nice. Nice. So you got a whole brand new space or a whole space to set up the stream studio. Is the office changing location or is this like, I see a new office? Like, all right. This next question says, besides new heroes, how else do you plan to introduce new content, if at all? We are approaching every season as a contained chapter that works to tell the larger ongoing story of the game. What this allows us to do is introduce new locations, bosses, and enemies, as well as revitalize older areas with new mechanics and revelations. We are implementing a deep discovery system that will reward exploration and fill in the lore and history with each update. Every season will give us the opportunity to add new resources, new weapons, new relics to craft, new creatures, echoes to loot, and equip into new meta builds. There's so much more planned than just new characters. That's a lot. I'm really interested in the lore and how it's going to be unraveled in the game. I'm pretty curious to see if this is going to be like Codex files. Will I think they said in the PAX live stream that there'll be some like I think animated comic style videos when you find certain lore pieces to a character, and we'll have the trailers for new characters when they come out. So the lore is going to be the most interesting part of this. One of the most interesting parts, I should say. The whole game is interesting in how they're putting everything together and making it more of a fun experience. It seems like to be inside the world. And Snarf says they've completely gutted the building and built it all from scratch. From the growing studio is going to be badass. Where is the studio located? If that's if information you can give out, like what's state? Say Texas. And will you give tours? I will come take a tour of the studio. Magic Flying Cthulhu. You've talked about player housing being a prominent feature and also that guild clans will be a part of the game. Can we also expect guild halls as an extension of those systems? Actually, Snarf, if this gets good reception, I'd love to actually have you. He actually said Texas. If it would be possible, if we can get you on this cast. This will be my first time actually putting together podcast type stuff. So I will have to like really set it up and plan it out. But if you're ever available to do so. Love to have you on here. We have talked a lot about supporting guilds, which will come a little later on down the line. This will extend to housing eventually by allowing guilds to build out their neighborhoods and meeting spaces, adding extra benefits to members. So this is interesting because they talk about neighborhoods, which is like huge, right? Like it's not like a small area that you just kind of like run around. It's not like a guild house. It's like a whole neighborhood with multiple houses lined up alongside each other. Everybody having their own stuff. I guess similar to like Final Fantasy's housing system, but I don't know if these will be instanced. I feel like they would have to be based upon how the world is. And I wonder if they'll use a similar system, but allow or more people to join in because Final Fantasy system is really limited. But if they do something like New World, where everybody's houses is kind of out in the open, and when they interact with it, it only shows their stuff. That would be kind of cool. Nice. I'll have to try to set it up, seeing how this video does. McKenna says, I'm so hyped for Wayfinder. Yes. Beta comes soon. When are you sending out the invites? Will player housing apartments be featured in multiple towns, areas, or only in the main hub city? There's no question for this. There's no answer for this. Is there more cities? Or is it just going to be Skylight? And I guess it's probably like more secret. Something that we have to find out as the game comes out, which is probably why it wasn't answered. But that is a good question, though. How many Wayfinders do you hope to have? What has been the hardest part of working on the game so far? And what do you think will be the biggest challenge from now on? Soon. Okay. The biggest challenge has been sheer scale. We are still a really small team tackling our biggest game yet, and since it is a live game, we have to be really nimble and turn around features and quality of life improvements as fast as we can. Our biggest ongoing challenge will be keeping up with the demand from our community, but it's one we are happy to face head on. Yes, there are more than one community hubs. So is it a question about multiple hubs in guilds, housing, and apartments? There are multiple community hubs, so we'll be able to have, it sounds like this is just speculation, but it sounds like we'll be able to have our favorite spot to go to have an apartment in. And I don't know if we'll be able to have multiple houses or multiple apartments, but we at least know that more community hubs means more scenic areas to be in. What is the size of the team? This question got deleted. How many concept artists work on a project? Believe it or not, we only have 3 full-time concept artists. Each one of them has the strength of 10, so we do okay. We do occasionally contract others to help out. Are there any magic-related classes going to be added, like a healer or a sorcerer that uses staffs or something alike? We'll be adding all sorts of Wayfinders over the lifetime of the game, so you can expect to see a bit of everything over time. I think something I would like to see in, as far as like a Wayfinder or the world expanding, is bringing in some Easter eggs from other games. Even if like the Airship Syndicate title or name isn't attached to those games, if they can get like the licensing or permission to use assets from those games that they worked on or have been a part of, and insert those into Wayfinder as either like a callback to this character or a character that's very similar to another character, something like that. That'd be kind of cool. Go into one of the community hubs and see Death from Darksiders in there. So Surfsnoff has some more questions to some of these answers. Yes, there are more than one community hubs, and the housing system will continue to grow, but not immediately. Like I said in one of the earlier answers, this is a huge game, and there are a small team. And so the first thing, of course, is going to be make sure everything is working properly and people want to be in the world. And then those other features will be good to add in. And I think it's good to not have everything added in all at once in the beginning, because as a game that's supposed to be lasting for a while, with people playing in it over time, over years, you want to have that content that you can add on in like a modular type system where you can just constantly add stuff to the end of it, giving people something to be excited about and to engage with when it comes out. I wish we knew someone that created Battle Chasers. I wonder who that could be. Let's see, how often will you be releasing new characters? From my understanding, the answer to this question is the seasons are every 3 months. So in every season, there should be a new Wayfinder. So we can say every 3 months. I think that might be a lot, though. So I feel like it would probably be every other season would probably be easier to do. But That's up to them. We'll have to see how they'll be able to work that out. 'Cause that's every 3 months. You got 4 Wayfinders a year. It's a lot. It's, there's the raids again. They're still working on it. So still don't have any more information on the raids. Will there be a photo mode? The game looks absolutely beautiful. This is a live service game, so it's something the players want, and we hear about it in our test, betas, and early access. We'll absolutely prioritize it. Let's get that photo mode. Proximity chat. Is there proximity chat or any kind of chat inside Wayfinders? Snarf? Well, we catch up with Snarf and he answers that question. On Discord, we were shown a crossbow that is a rifle variant. Are there staves or wands plus orbs that could be two-handed variants or sword and shield variants? Any plans to add magic weapons to the game? So we have a bunch of different weapon variants, and subclasses actually come with some gameplay variations for the weapon class also. An example of this would be the two-handed weapon class, great hammers and great swords. Both share the same momentum weapon mechanic, but hammers specialize in high break power potential and great swords have a faster combo, but lower break power potential. I always read that weird. We don't have wands orbs yet, but it's not ruled out for the future. Break power and specialization power and attack power, the way that's all put together when it's described, I think is it's kind of confusing at times, and sometimes I have to slow down and bring it back because break is just like breaking your shield, and calling it break power is just kind of like different wording, I think, for this game. So, all right, we got some more information from Sir Snarf here. Expect the world to expand with new lost zones and open world areas, for example, every other season. We want to make sure the content release is full of events and activities. So, it'll go, let's say, I'm guessing, for example, season 1 or season 0, Wayfinder. Season 1, open world, lost zone. Season 3, Wayfinder. Season 4, I skipped season 2. We don't need season 2. Season 4, lost zone, open world is what it sounds like. And then, as far as party voice chat, they do have that. He was testing it out today, and it should be in the next beta build. So that is pretty cool. Voice chat confirmed. Wands and orbs. I still think Omen's gonna be a Wayfinder, but I don't say. Can we adjust, modify the UI and specifically the skills? Right now, they're displayed in the diamond shape both on controller and keyboard. Will we be able to change it like Warframe does? Diamond when controller is plugged in and a horizontal line when on keyboard? It may seem like a pet peeve, but adapting to the most comfortable interface for the players is always appreciated. It says we went that route early on where the keyboard and mouse version was a straight bar and it would change to the diamond when playing with the controller. We moved away from it just due to resources, but I can see an update in the future where players can specify their preference. We are committed to ongoing support for accessibility as well as creative customization of the UI so you can tailor their experience as much as possible. So how's that looking there? Are we able to get that? Is it going to happen? We get that UI change? Is that coming back? At the moment, the goal is a new Wayfinder along with their signature weapon every season. Yes, it's a lot, but we have been working on a ton behind the scenes to keep the pipeline steady. No, so Wayfinder every season. That is a lot. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for the team and the players. Because 3 months, if it's a Wayfinder that we like, we got to go through the process of unlocking it and leveling it up. Will there be drops that are like 0.00001%, as they are my favorite aspects in loot-based games? Just makes you feel proud when you get that seed drop. There will definitely be some super rare drops. I'm guessing these are like weapons, legendary weapons. Are there? There have been a ton of improvement to the UI, but still a long way to go, in my humble opinion. It will get there though. We are picky. All right, another question for Snarf here. Um, Weapon grades. Are we going to see like legendary, exotic, rare, or is this going to be just like weapons, like regular weapons, and then like this one is super special because it's named? And then another question I have here too is, so I got a lot of questions apparently. When I was at PAX East, I had a chance to talk to somebody. I didn't get their name, unfortunately. Nerves and stuff. But they kind of alluded to the content creation program, content creator program, maybe being in the works. Is that something that is being worked on or that we may see at some point soon before early access or around early access? So, Bro Sapiens asks, can you give us a rough estimate of how much in the game will have voice acting? Are fully voice acted story cutscenes something we can expect to see while going through the story? And if that's something that can't be answered at this time, how about the voiceover talent? I can't find anywhere who will be doing the voices for our Wayfinders, or is that still on the hush hush? So they did share all of the Wayfinder voice actors, and I wanted to go over and do like go through them and like this voice actor also did this, this, and this, which is a lot of work to be honest with you. Maybe that'll be another thing we can do in a live stream here. Just go through and look at what voice you may recognize a certain Wayfinder or a certain voice actor from or actress. So this is the plan in the future. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comments, and we'll go from there. And if you could, and if you haven't already, if you hit that like button here on the stream, I would greatly appreciate it. Kind of helps get it out in front of people and stuff. Thank you. And let us know that I'm doing something all right, and I'll keep doing these. All right, so back to the voiceover talent. If that's something that can't be answered at this time, how about the voiceover talent I can't find anywhere? Hush hush. We are hoping to jam pack the game with voiceover featuring some of the best actors in the business. More on that later. But you can expect cutscenes to be fully voiced, as well as main story quests. We are also hoping to have some fun banter between Wayfinders when they are near places or characters they have a connection to, which is super fun. It is super fun. As far as the question on the weapon quality, the quality of the weapon will be based off of how much work you put into it. Once you find the pieces to craft your weapon, you will have to level it up, kind of like a mini character, and that's not going to be RNG. So your weapon could potentially be like a legendary weapon, depending on how much you level it up. Is there a way we can support the game monetarily as we wait for it to be released? Says we appreciate that. We do plan to have Founders Packs available closer to early access. Right now we are focused on testing to make it the best experience it can be. We are really using these tests to craft the game and the experience, and we didn't want to take away from that by collecting money too early. How have the beta tests gone so far? Is the team expecting for the release to go as scheduled, or do you anticipate possible delays? Well, as we saw recently, we do have a delay, and it's there. So we have this beta coming up now, and then in the summer, we're going to have early access for Wayfinder. And I hope they're not running from Diablo launch. I know a lot of people are going to jump into that, but it's not too far away. Like summer is around the corner. We're gonna zoom through May, and the next thing you know, we'll be in July playing Wayfinder. Throwing that month out there. I don't know if it's July or not. Yes, that is actually my domain. So this is about the content creators. We are looking at a couple of avenues for content creators, regardless of their size. Quality over content. Yes, quality over content. Or quantity. I don't say quantity. That's good. That's good. sure there's going to be a lot of people jumping on as soon as it opens up, because there are a lot of people interested in it and are plotting. I was really hoping that this beta would be open though. Honestly, everything has gone smoother than we could have hoped. This is as far as the beta test going. We're surprised and delighted. Thanks to DE's experience, we've been planning this for a while, and we've get a sense of what we need to have done to hit early access. We still think our release dates are well within reach. If there are any delays, they'll be for very good reasons. Our goal is always to give players the best experience we possibly can without pushing the team unhealthily. And like I said right before this question and answer, they delayed it. But it's all right. It should be there. I hope the game doesn't have material currency bloat, says Kenna. So what do you mean by material currency bloat? I don't play a lot of games that have you grinding a lot of materials like that. So you would have to explain that. Like as you get higher and higher, you need more and more, and to a point where you're just like, I can't find any more. Or I can't just keep grinding this out. It'll take me like 5 months to get this one item. What are the plans for future content releases? Like, do you plan on creating new systems, mechanics for every new expansion, or just building on top of what's already there? This will depend on a lot of things, like which character is coming out with the new season, which new lost zones we're adding, whether or not a new major overland is included, and so on. We don't have any hard and fast rules set yet for seasons, but we do have a general idea for the cadence we think might be ideal. Our early phases of testing and early seasons will help inform this. Broadly speaking, we like for each area of the game to have a unique gameplay flavor that will often involve new mechanics. That's how you keep things fresh. It's something we'll work on, and building on top of what's already there is a natural part of a not quite but maybe MMO's allure. It makes the game bigger, better, and also offers a fun change of pace when something you've grown accustomed to has some new wrinkles. And it's kind of what I was talking about earlier, how it's not putting everything out at once and having that modular, adding on things, stuff that you can improve the game upon. Like we played WoW when it first came out, or around that time, the nodes were just nodes. And then eventually they added sparklies, and you're like, oh, sparkly. It's like that little thing made it more exciting to go gathering. So, as far as material and currency bloat, Snarf says is definitely something that they are cognizant of. There will be many rewarding ways to recycle excess materials to avoid clutter of inflation. So a lot of things will be breaking down or being transferred over into another item, it sounds like. Are you taking any inspiration from other MMOs? It's hard to go back on MMOs without dynamic open world events like Guild Wars 2 or their mount system. We're big MMO fans in general. Wayfinder isn't on the scope of a full-scale MMO yet, but everything from Final Fantasy XIV to WoW has inspired us. Some things are more direct. Ever since getting a house in Lord of the Rings Online, we've been drawn to the idea of neighborhoods. You know what's interesting about Lord of the Rings Online? I played that when it was like right before or right after it went free to play, like a while ago. And I thought it was like so cool that if you fell off a high cliff, you would sprain your ankle and have like a debuff of a sprained ankle, which will limit your run and movement speed. That's probably like one of the only things I really thought was cool. Hello, here from the Wayfinder Discord. Hope day is going good. Hello, Autumn Rain. The day or the night has been going good. I'm not sure how far, not even halfway through this question just yet. But Snarf has been in here chilling, answering some questions. So if there's any questions that you may have had that he can answer, pop them into the chat and see what he can get you. This is the best time to get them. All right, so what is that? Oh, Lord of the Rings and neighborhoods. And the sense of permanent, explorable world was a special part of WoW, and all classic MMOs have community at their core. Even playing solo, you feel alone in the crowd, which is something we hope our solo players experience. This doesn't even mention some of the recent online co-op action games that are great. I guess that game design in general, though, there's always a lot of inspiration in your work. Alone in a crowd is a very interesting way to put that. If you go into like conventions by yourself or conferences or anything like that, any big things by yourself, you still have a sense of community with those people that you're going with, even if you don't know them. You're all experiencing the same things, enjoying the same moments. If you may never speak to them, you may never say hello to them, but you're all laughing or smiling together. So that's a very important part of those conventions, and is a very important part of MMOs. So they're able to capture that. I think they've pretty much nailed the experience of a community in an MMO. Hello, first of all, thanks for doing this AMA. Will the open world be server based, or will we see the town full of players and parties walking around? There are no server selections in Wayfinder. You just log in and play with your friends. No need to worry about that group chat we've all been in where you and your friends are conversing about which server has the coolest name and where it will be located. Once you're in the game, you can send friend invites, party up, and yes, you will see others in the social spaces and open areas of the game. But that was one of the main things of MMOs. No, I'm glad they don't have that in here. That definitely was a pain, especially when you jump in later into the game and your friends are playing the game. They're like, "What server are you on?" Maybe that server is full, or they locked out people being added to it. And they gotta wait, and you gotta transfer over, and then later you gotta start letting people jump from server to server, or do some kind of system where you can merge the servers together, which is a lot more work. So it's just better to just not have those all together. One mega server. Next question is, this is still part of the first question. We've architected our server technology so players can bump anyone else in town, in overlands, and in lost zones. Bump into anyone else in town. I think that's what that should say. I want to bump people out of the game. That wouldn't be good. Can you give a rough estimate of how much of the game is open world and how much is instance? It's hard to estimate, but both are very important to Wayfinder. The open world areas have a lot of group activities like events and world bosses. Players can spend a lot of time there exploring and looking for secrets or seeing what new things have cropped up each day or week. The dungeons aren't as big, but are very playable, especially with mutators. In many ways, it'll be up to each player's preference, and over time, we'll look to see where players spend the most time and try to add more of what people love. I think that the game being open world and having those different activities and secrets is really good. I like to be able to explore, so exploring is going to be fun. I hope in the game, and this is going to be a lot of things in the open world to find and unlock, and maybe lead to describing what the world actually is. Will characters be unlocked like in Warframe crafting, or will you just outright buy them? Characters will be obtainable via crafting as well as outright purchase. We will have no loot boxes or gacha to get characters, as we are fully embracing Warframe's free and fair policy. We will also be introducing a system by which Wayfinders can unlock additional power through awakening. This increases their max level, increasing their overall power, echo capacity, echo slots, and equitable item level. This can only be done via crafting additional characters and cannot be bought. Equitable or equipable? I'm thinking equipable item level. Will there be crafting parts for items like prime weapons in Warframe, or are they resource based? A mix of both. Recipes will consist of a mix of common resources, more rare targeted ones that may be used in a few recipes, and a few parts that are only dropped in one place and used for a specific weapon or a wayfinder. Will there be flamethrowers? Please let there be flamethrowers. Will there be flamethrowers? Typo. Equipable. That's what I thought. Flamethrowers. I think what they're saying, there's going to be a variety of different wayfinders in the game that we will see something flamethrower-like, if not exactly flamethrowers, and it probably won't be a weapon type, but most likely tied to an ability or skill of one of the wayfinders. Could be an ultimate ability, even. Will the game eventually allow add-ons that will allow players to customize the UI and other things similar to World of Warcraft? NDA. It would be very difficult to support add-ons for all players across all of our different platforms. With this game being cross-platform, I don't think that there should be add-ons to customize the UI or things or other things similar to World of Warcraft. And I think being able to move items around the UI is okay, but to actually add outside stuff to the game might be a little bit different. And as it says here in the question, it will be very difficult to support add-ons for all players across all of our different platforms. Many games have famously tried this and failed, and we've learned from this experience. We want to make sure all our players are able to get a great experience no matter where they're choosing to play the game. So our programming and UX teams have been laying the groundwork for adding the ability to customize your UI and play experience as part of the base game. What can you tell us about guilds, social systems in the game? This is absolutely on our roadmap. Can't have a game like Wayfinder without support for guilds. What's more, we'd even love for guilds to have their own neighborhoods. Another ambitious thing on our roadmap for someday, TM. Or soon, TM. Or later, TM. One day, TM. Neighborhoods in the future, but will there be basic guild support at launch or also in the future? Will there be basic guild support at launch? Like, I guess basic would be like how you start off with maybe 10 players and then you level up the guild as it goes. How will you be reinforcing player interaction? Will there be small things to do between dungeons with friends or strangers? One of the key features of the game is going to be the player housing and neighborhoods, which will be great social spaces and also places you'll be able to work with friends, guildmates to actually gain more power as well. Wonder how that works. The shared spaces will support strangers working together towards goals such as finding secrets, tackling events and public quests, and taking down world bosses. Will there be a ton of ways to augment character abilities as well as weapon abilities? So everyone's builds are a little different from someone else, even if they use the same weapon and character, perhaps a lot of procs. It says there are a few things that will make you stand out from another Wingrave with a two-hander. Which two-hander am I using? They each come with a unique ability, different stat breakdowns, different echo socket alignments. What echoes do I have socketed? Depending on what you socket, you could have very different stats, and some echoes come with more than just stats. Do I specialize my Wingrave in break power so I can open up enemies for teammates? Maybe if we got a couple of echoes that change how I play completely, like an echo that gives me a buff when I double jump with a cooldown, paired with another that sends out a shockwave on an air slam on a cooldown. What ability upgrades did I choose? Each ability can be upgraded as you level, and you won't get enough points to upgrade them all. They all provide benefits outside of just stats, so they can change how you play and what you focus on quite a bit. What weapon masteries and talents do I have equipped? Coming in the future, you'll be able to have certain talents active that change more than just stats and are different depending on the archetype and weapons you use. More details in the future. That's going to be a really huge change to the game. It's almost going to be like playing a totally new game when they add that in there, because people are going to be used to playing this one way, and being able to change talents that changes your gameplay is going to open up a whole new avenue of things that we'll be able to do with these characters. What consumables do I have equipped? Everyone has a health flask, but everyone also comes with 2 consumable slots that will let them bring a variety of crappy consumables with them. What accessories do I have equipped? Accessories will be a big part of determining your stat breakdown. They come with different stats, different echo slot alignments, and are part of different sets with their own set bonuses also, or 2. What dyes and styles do I have equipped to my Wingrave? I know you asked for mechanical differences, but looking cool while you kick ass is huge. So with this part said, though, I do have a question. If Snarf is still in chat, and that question is, um, how is the team preparing to prevent meta builds? Games will always have some kind of meta build coming on where they're going to say, this is the best build for this gloom or whatever. Is that something that we'll actually not see, or that we're working to prevent, to where people will be able to actually play with whatever playstyle they want to choose? Or will people still be forced to go with whatever the crowd is saying do. Because of course, we're going to have videos coming out that said this is a such and such build with Wingrave and a such and such build with Nis. But what we don't have, what we don't want to have, or what I don't want to see is this is the must-play build before you get invited to a group. Because that's never really fun. Next question is, hey Airship, huge fan here, very excited for this to drop. My question is this, are there any influences that inspired this game? I know the crew are gamers as well, but were there any particular titles, franchises that inspired the team? Aside from the obvious ones like WoW, which we've mentioned, we have to mention more action-based games like Warframe, Destiny, etc., as well as games like Skyrim that have amazing world building. I feel like a lot of our combat harkens back to the Darksiders games, visually films like Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse, and shows like Arcane as well. Lots of anime. Our influences come from all over. I applied for the open beta. When should I expect an email? From My Hair is on Fire in chat. Snarf earlier said that soon TM is the answer to when you can expect an email, if you get an email. So soon TM on that. If you don't know, Snarf is the community manager. Are class roles such as DPS, heal, tanks solely bound to Wayfinders and their abilities, or do weapon customizations allow us to play any role on any Wayfinder? May the 10th-ish. That was like a weird way of saying that. 10th-ish. Weapons allow for another layer of customization as each one has a unique ability. Any character can use any weapon. This allows us to have a Nis with a two-handed axe that might have a support ability, if that's the playstyle you want, or a Wingrave that does big DPS. This allows you to expand the role of the character and really play it the way that you want to play it. I look forward to the day that someone takes a character that we think is more of a DPS and that totally unlocks how to make them the best tank in the game using a crazy combo we didn't even think of. That's what I'm kind of interested in as well. How you're going to make somebody the best such and such in the game using something that somebody didn't think of. Of course, everybody's going to be trying to play that because it's considered the best, but I would definitely love to see people be able to play what they want. So Snarf's question or answer to my question about meta builds is, it's tricky. Community building calculators and min-maxing is inevitable. While we want a lot of discovery to be organic without explicit instructions on how to get the best possible build. Yep, gamers are gonna game. There's always gonna be some min-maxing going on. It's almost something that we can't help happen. But it would be great if we could figure out how to solve meta builds in the future in some game. All right, are there any cons to using a different weapon than the one you started with? Wayfinders may synergize well with the weapon they start with, but all are viable with any weapon, and there could be some fun metas out there to discover using a different weapon. The goal is to be able to mix and match a character with any weapon and customize how you want to play them. How's the exploration like when compared to previous games from the studio like Darksiders 1 and 2, which was a very Zelda-like exploration? It's similar, but different. Actually, rather than saying it's similar, I suggest it's very much inspired by the feel of those games, which emphasize adventuring through exploration. That's at the core of Wayfinder's essence, exploration, and adventure. The Darksiders fans among our players will also be at home with the pace of exploration in Wayfinder, which is fairly quick. Will there be a subscription service? Only if you consider the Battle Pass a subscription service. Snarf adds, also being a live service model, there will be continuous tweaks and shuffling of the meta. The world will always be changing, and the goal is to give players so many different toys to play with. And that is a benefit of live service games. We just hope that it doesn't change to the point where it's like, oh, this character is now trash. They've nerfed the crap. And we always see nerfs and buffs People are always going to complain about nerfs and buffs, even if the nerfs and buffs aren't bad. So I guess we're going to see, oh, they nerfed the crap out of Windgrave. He sucks now. We're going to see it. It might not even be a serious change. You're going to be like, oh, now his stun is now 2 seconds instead of 3 seconds. Oh my God, that's so huge. I don't even know if he has a stun. In terms of future content, can we expect expansion level content updates? Something akin to Destiny 2 or World of Warcraft expansion content release? So this is going to be in the form of the battle passes. It seems like with each battle pass having its own theme. So that's going to be considered your, well, there's going to be content updates. Expansion level, I'm not sure how that works. Those are really huge. So that's going to be kind of hard to say. Snarf adds again, talking about meta builds, that they won't want to settle for one simple build, but will continually be leveling a variety of different echoes and weapons to mix up their build on the fly for whatever challenge they are facing. So to keep, drop something, to keep the meta a little bit open, with the mutators being in the game and the dungeons constantly changing that way, they're saying you'll be kind of changing in and out parts that you use, the form of the echoes that you put in and weapons to better face the challenges that you're going against. Maybe a creature is weak against fire or something like that, or deals poison damage. So you want to change it around to where you have some kind of immunity to poison damage, or you're doing more break damage, like they have a larger shield that you need to break than normal. Buffs and nerfs are always hard. It's quite the snafu, a snarfu, if you will. Press the button.
Bruh.
I know it's super early, but Warframe crossover, a possibility? Joe had a ton of fun designing the wolf-inspired frame, and we'd love to have something Warframe related in Wayfinder. Stay tuned. Scroll back up to where that was. Oh, that's also NDA. Can we expect some type of competitive PvE, as in competing with other groups in time trials and such? If so, what kind? So the answer to this is we have some ideas tossing around internally. We're all about experimenting with the fun, and if enough players ask for it, how can we say no? But in lieu of actual PvP, this is the next best thing, so consider it considered. So the last question for them Twitters, the Twitter AMA asked about PvP, and they said it's never say never. And I think if they were to do something like some kind of PvP, that it would have to be something similar to this to keep things balanced in a good way. Just have the players balanced against the enemies. Having some kind of PvE trial type thing. If you played the Exoprimal open beta when it first came out, where a lot of people didn't really know what that game was, it actually had a PvE time trial type thing, and that's how they handled the PvP portion in the first half of those matches, where you're racing to a certain objective point or carrying a payload, and while you're doing that, enemies are spawning in, and you have to attack the enemies, and it's pretty much like a speed race to get to that point first. Then when you get to that point, that's when the characters start fighting each other, and that's when I think balancing will become kind of an issue, because of course some builds and characters, with them having so many different builds, are going to be kind of tough and rough to deal with. So, but if we just did like that race part, time trial, wave fights, I think it would be a lot easier. Invisible Lad in chat says, can't wait to get a better sense of how the Wayfinders differ from their previous selves. The story is really interesting and has a lot of potential. That is really interesting thought there as well, because we don't really know of the Wayfinders before they were brought back. And one of the things they used is they're going with that whole timey-wimey type theory, where the Wayfinders are being pulled from different parts of their past. And that's how you can have everybody being the same character. It's not necessarily just pulling Nis or Silo like right before they passed. It's grabbing them where they can grab them at from the past. Any thoughts of battle chaser themed weapons? Also, howdy, invisible lad. Snarf is he gave a little bit of hints that we might see some battle chesters type stuff in there, but he didn't really say exactly. He just he's being kind of cheeky, kind of snarfy. I'm gonna say it's possible. It'd be cool to have a character story revolving around two different characters, kind of like how I don't know if you guys saw Air Gear or not. There's a Keto or a Ron one half, but that's the same character. He just turns into a girl. What's another character? I'm trying to think of like a character in anime that had two different characters. That would be kind of cool though. Oh, recent Demon Slayer anime. The the upper fourth demon that breaks off into four different versions of emotions. Will there be some sort of guild clan system in the game? Yes, there will be guilds. I think the trailer for Venomous seems to indicate Nis and she aren't besties. They did say that there will be some. My thought was Octopath Traveler 2, where they have stories focusing on their relationship and whatnot. Oh, when will we see pointing Spider-Man meme in Wayfinder? That should be an emote. They should have the pointing emote, and then we can all stand around and point at each other in the towns. And this is all conjecture. All right, Visible Lad has a thought. That's all conjecture. They also said earlier that in the AMA that characters will have voice lines with each other. So I guess similar to how we look at Overwatch, when you have them team up with each other, they kind of talk to each other a little bit, give a little bit hint of their past. We'll see something like that happen in Wayfinder when the characters are together with each other. Some of the characters might not have gotten along before they got gloomed. They gloomed me. Fantastic emote idea telling animation tomorrow.
NANI?
Venomous and this actually have a shared past they've hinted at that makes them closer, actually. It's like a little shared secret. They're probably like on the same team of assassins or something. I need banter. So yeah, earlier in the AMA, they did mention that there's going to be some character banter, either like when players are around each other or grouped up with each other, or if they in an area that's similar that brings back like a memory from their past, like they recognize this area before, they might say something to give you a little more backstory of that area, or a hint, a little clue. Are Digital Extremes just the publishers, or are they helping the team further? I can think of too many games that need help for their live service model. In addition to being publishers, DE offers the years of experience they have building trust with their online community when it comes to monetization and creating a fair gameplay environment for all players. They have also been instrumental when it comes to resources and guidance when attempting a project of this scale. Digital Extremes, they've they've come a long way. And I think about Digital Extremes quite a bit. Sometimes when I think about Warframe, again, I try to jump in. When I think about it, I always think about where Warframe and Tenno kind of came from, like Dark Sector. I would love to see like a new Dark Sector game. I'm actually contemplating streaming that game. Like the way Dark Sector looked back in the day was so crazy. Like it was such a good looking game for it to be like on Xbox 360. It was so good. And then you look at Soulframe. It's crazy. La, 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 la. Wayfinders instead of classic MMO classes. Does this mean that any combination of Wayfinders, regardless of their builds, can do just fine together in group activities? There are no hard requirements for Wayfinders, but different teams will definitely work better together. There are a ton of different combinations when it comes to Wayfinders and weapons, each bringing their own benefits, synergies, and weaknesses, and we expect players to mix and match and find combos and team comps they enjoy. Some examples, you can have 3 players all using Nists and daggers, and you'll have a really squishy group that blows stuff up. High risk, high reward, but still doable. You can swap one of those to a silo with a two-hander, and you can add some break potential and CC, clumping enemies together with silos cloned so the other two Nists can dash through the clumped enemies and blow them up more efficiently. We'll also be adding the survivalist passive of Expose Weakness when they get a crit so they can do even more damage. Or maybe adding in a Windgrave to reduce some of the risk of death with heals and taunts. All are viable. It'll be interesting to see what people are actually asking for in their parties, or if they'll just be cool taking everybody in the party or not. And banter is planned in the voice acting. Will this game work on the Steam Deck? Warframe does, so I'm hopeful. While it may be possible to run the upcoming PC test in beta on the Steam Deck with some slight modifications, it is not an officially supported device at this time. We love the deck, I play the game nightly on mine, and would love to officially support it sometime in the future. I do have a question as well. Um, oh, do you know if the game will be on, is planning, or if there are any plans to put it on GeForce now? Can we get some detail on how break power works? Um, Let's not break that down. But if I'm not mistaken, break power is similar to breaking a shield. I think they might have gone into more detail. Give me 1 second here. While we're coming through here. But if you guys are in the chat and are enjoying the stream, make sure you hit the like button. It definitely help the stream go through in the algorithm and help more people find this video once it goes live as well. And it lets me know that you guys enjoy this and help me keep doing these in the future. I'm hoping to have a nice podcast episode where I can sit down with Sir Snarf and ask some questions. And I would love for you guys to submit any questions you have as well when I open those up for submissions. And we can talk about the game and what he enjoys doing and his background and how he ended up with the team and all that good stuff. Should be a good stream. A good podcast chat. Let's just talk about how damage is calculated. But break power is always used for doing break damage from any source. Enemies have no physical or magic defense like players, so the only damage reduction on enemies will come from a buff, or if they are armored, they will reduce incoming damage while not guard broken. It's like resilience bars. So the answer of can we get some details on how break power works? Snarf answers. So depending on the enemy, they can have more break. Essentially, if an enemy has been broken, they will not get staggered and will take significantly less damage. There's no plans for GeForce now. It's how well they break dance. Sounds thirsty. It's, just had to get up, get something to drink, laying back down now is good. Do all the Wayfinders have dance emotes? Invisible Lad adding the important questions. They all need to have their own separate dance emotes as well. They cannot have the same dance emote. Autumn Rain chimes in with basically break power determines your strength versus enemy shield bar. When an enemy has shield, they can't be staggered and have DR. I'm guessing diminishing returns. Higher break power equals faster shield break. Exactly. All right, there's another question about PvP in Wayfinder. This is besides the weapons you're using, what will mechanically separate my character from someone else? This question is almost like the exact same question asked earlier, and they gave the same answer. So I'm going to skip this one. But they did answer this one earlier in the stream, going over all the different ways that you could be different. It was a pretty lengthy answer. Is there anything you can say on the end game aspect of Wayfinder, because that what seems to make or break tons of MMOs? We plan to have raids and world bosses, which will challenge the toughest Wayfinders. We also plan to have content drops adding new zones, creatures, bosses, weapons, and characters. Heroic tiers will be unlocked at endgame, allowing you to replay older content at the highest difficulty for unique rewards. There will be tons of customization and artifacts to hunt down to fill your houses and neighborhoods with friends. One key element, too, is really listening to the community and what things you all want to see more of. We have our current plan, but as the game is live and players share what they enjoy more and what they want to see more of, will definitely influence our plans. Yes, they all have dance emotes. There will be many emotes. More emotes, more emotes. Damage reduction. Invisible Ass says, thanks. I was watching old footage and saw a trio have a really hard time with the barbarian because they didn't break the barbarian shield. They got rolled. Yes. It's a different way of them saying shield break, because you don't really hear it referred to as break power. I think this is really the only time I really refer to it as a break power in a game. So it can kind of throw you off a little bit. The power to move you. How's everybody's week been? Like stress relating to new testers and general health? How has everybody's week been? Snarf, how's your week been so far? It's Monday. I hope it was a good Monday. We know how Mondays are. My Monday was kind of crazy. A lot of busyness at work. Had me running around, sweating. And how's everybody's in chat week? Monday's been, or weekend? Hope you all had good ones. How are the levels built like in Warframe? How are the levels built, question mark, like in Warframe? So they consist of individual rooms, or are they fixed and always the same in structure? We've built a dynamic level generation system that creates unique lost zones for every expedition into the gloom. It can take into account what quest you're on, difficulty modifiers, and imbuements used to modify your expedition, and hopefully more to come. Our system is tile-based, so there will be some familiar patterns you'll learn, but have a more abstract idea of rooms. We can stitch together outdoor areas, elevator rooms, long corridors, and wide empty battle arenas. Additionally, our level design and environment art teams have created dozens of unique tiles with variations built in, so you might find the same tile across runs but not be able to recognize it. So it's going to be similar to when I think of the way rooms and things are built, where it's not necessarily procedurally generated, but it kind of is. It makes me think of Dead by Daylight and how the maps are in those, where they have various different pieces that could be each be put together at any point in time, depending on what you pick. It's going to be a heck of a week. Team is working hard, getting beta ready as it can be. Lots of changes for this build. Will there be an overall like list of changes? I know we had like a small blog post talking about some of the major changes you had, but will there be like just a regular list that we can share with the community, like the full list of changes, or will that be limited under NDA? Can you list all of your concept artists? Is a playtest currently underway? Will there be incentive bonuses for the game? For example, bundles, XP currency bonuses for having PlayStation Plus. Stay tuned. We're excited about our partnership with PlayStation, and we'll go into details on this as we get closer to early access. We're gonna have ugly PlayStation clothes. It will be in the private Discord. Oh. so it will not be shareable. What are some musical inspirations for the game soundtrack? Man, is there a spot somewhere where I can get the music that plays in the title screen for Wayfinder? And will I be able to use that as some kind of music for the podcast or intro, or break it down and use it for an alert or something? Please tell me there will be chat bubbles. It was not something we had considered, but if it is something our players want, then we could put it on the board. Will there be chat bubbles? I'm thinking that Venomous may be in this beta test. Wayfinder has a title screen, NDA. I'm assuming it does. I don't know. I think I saw one when they were playing it on stream somewhere on the videos, the content creator videos. But everybody that saw that PAX East, we saw music in the game. Will there be super mega rare, ultra rare gear? Do you know how many characters will be available to play at release? Unfortunately, 3. I still think you should be able to pick between those original 5 that we were showcased and announced, and that we can see all of the abilities of. But those other 2 will be locked. Don't think Venomous is in this beta. The way they worded it in the blog post, it sounded like, because it said this has more characters in it that you'll be able to play as. And I think in the last beta they had opened up a lot of characters to play as. So I'm like, how many more characters can you open up if you opened up a lot of characters already? How do you support your how do you plan to support your community in the face of toxic players? That's a question for Sir Snarf, if he hasn't answered that. How do you plan to support your community in the face of toxic players? What else can you tell us about player housing? Is it open world or area based? Plans on adding any more characters? Bow and arrow person. Probably see that as well. And I'm guessing the bow and arrow will probably be a crossbow and underneath the 2-handed gun weapon. Will there be matchmaking for group content for us solo players? And will there be any PvP open world or arena in the future? Are the dungeons going to have a randomly generated aspect similar to Warframe's mission nodes, where it's a random assortment of pre-built rooms interconnected? They answered a lot of these questions already. I thought I just asked this for a second question, but Steve Sinclair skin. Name reservations. Other type of support characters. Redacted. So that is the entire AMA that they had on December 14th of 2022. It's a pretty large AMA. A lot of questions were answered that I figure like a lot of people might have missed, because a lot of people like myself don't really get on Reddit like that. So I thought I'd just kind of go in and share this with everybody. I thought it was a lot of good answers to look at and stuff. And we also have some answers in chat as well. So you might have seen those pop up on screen as I was talking. But I think it's pretty good. This week we have the Wayfinder beta dropping off. They're saying the team is going to be busy trying to get it to work. I have higher latency on because I wanted to have closed captions on, so it might take a minute for Snarf to answer a lot of the questions that we had that's going through chat. Future streams will probably take it down to low latency, and I'll try to see if I can have some kind of closed captioning add-on for those that just want to see closed captioning as well without having to go through the system, to make it a little bit easier. YouTube is blocking the URL. I must have links blocked. Gareth Cocker. So Gareth Cocker did Coker? Cocker? Coker? I'm not saying his name wrong. Coker. He did the music for Ori and the Blind Forest, which has like some of the best music. It has some good music. I love that music. Talking about the feel, bringing the feel and emotion into a music. They also did the Ruined King soundtrack, Arc Genesis, Mario Rabbids, Immortals Phoenix Rising, which also had really good music. A lot of memorable music that I found myself randomly bringing back and humming the tune for Phoenix Rising. As far as handling toxicity, Sir Snarf says that there will be mute and silence features for people who don't respond to warnings. Depending on the severity, consequences will follow suit. The first link has a lot of songs to play. I'll go back here. This link? No, it can't be this link. I didn't want to exit. For those who are new in chat as well, Snarf confirmed that there would be voice chat, party voice chat. So you will be able to talk with your homies in the party or with other players if you choose to. Which one is it? The main theme right here. This one right here. I don't know if I can play it. YouTube is funny with music. But so good. So we're gonna play that. You know how YouTube is with its content claims. No Wayfinder music posted yet. All right. Is there anybody in chat that has any questions for Snarf while he's here? I don't think I can. I can't change it to the latency while I'm live. Oh, he's gone. Never mind. All right. So that was the end of that. I appreciate you coming through here and hanging out with me, Sir Snarf. I'll try to set up something and get things planned out and link up with you. Hey, thanks for being supportive of me covering the game and me unscrewing the microphone. It was nice having a fun conversation here of what we did. Hopefully, get that tour of the studio. But definitely have to try to get in contact with you for a future live stream, so we can get in here and ask you some questions and get everything set up for that. If you guys enjoyed this, again, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Mainly going to be covering Wayfinder here. And if you guys enjoyed this first episode and like to see more longer live stream type podcast episodes, just let me know. And we will see you guys more in the future. Thanks for hanging out. Autumn Rain, thanks for reading through and covering stuff. Hope things go well for you in the future. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. And you're welcome. Great to catch you live. Take care, man. Thanks again, Zen, for those kind words the other day. And you take care as well. Invisible Lad, Joshua Shepherd, comedian. How you guys? Anybody I missed? Ken? I don't know if he's still in here or not. My hair is on fire. Thank you all you guys for hanging out. All right. We're going to end the stream. I don't know how to end it. Oh, I have an ending screen.
You know